How are you today, Mark?
I'm okay. Yeah, not bad. It's I apparently I have natural light coming in through my window, but it's an incredibly dark day outside. If anyone has seen the movie Blade Runner, where it's always raining and grey and dark, that's what it's like outside here today. But it's been lovely all week in Taipei. Just today it started raining. Yeah.
Great. Well, Mark, we're a couple minutes early, but I'm happy to turn it over to you, and you can get started with a couple extra minutes of your session.
Sure, Josh. Yeah.
All right. Well, Mark, I will hand it over to you. We'll get your slides on screen.
Okay, and I'll just open up the chat and see how everyone's doing. I hear we have people from all over the place, and some of you in time zones where surely you should be asleep. Okay, so that's did I hear 4:00 a.m., Josh?
There was a 2 o'clock, a 4 o'clock. I think there's probably lots of people joining us at strange hours.
A little bit of every time zone. Yeah, Morocco 2 a.m. Mozambique's got to be pretty late, right? That's got to be midnight or maybe 1 or 2 a.m. in Mozambique. Hello, everyone. Yes, it's nice to hear about all of your lovely mornings because it's not so lovely for me, which is unfortunate because I live in a part of Taipei which is the center for Halloween celebrations. And so we've got loads of kids dressing up in costumes, parading up and down the main street all day. And I went out yesterday and it was pretty busy yesterday, but today is going to be the big day. And I just hope it clears up for those, that there'll be tens of thousands of kids in all sorts of costumes. And there's a bit of a Halloween theme through my session. Not scary Halloween, but more like fantasy Halloween. So let's get into it. Everyone, today, I want you to choose your own professional development adventure. Okay, so I'm going to take you on a journey. I'm going to take you through dangerous pathways and lead you to your professional development goals. Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, so here we go. So what we're doing today in this first session, which is this morning for us in Asia, but we've got people from all around the world. So what we're doing is we're looking at 2 stages of a 7-step professional development framework. And if you want to find out more about this framework, all of the steps, all 7 of them, we'll share a link so that you can access and download for free the position paper called Self-Directed Professional Development in ELT. But I'm going to focus on steps 2 and 3. And you can see them here on the chart, the diagram. Identify goals and purpose, that's step 2. And then step 3, select professional development activity. So I'm going to introduce you to lots of different reasons for you to do professional development for your teaching, right? To develop your teaching or develop an aspect of yourself as a teacher. I'm going to introduce you in step 3 to lots of different activities that you can do, and you're going to choose one using a scoring system. So here are our aims within that framework. First, we want to broaden our notion of what professional development can be. So when you think of professional development, maybe you think of a certain few set things that you can do. Attending sessions like today's, attending LTalk is a kind of professional development opportunity. And there are others. But I want to expose you to a whole realm, a whole world of opportunities that perhaps you haven't considered before. And also that second point, give you some guidance for those of you who are maybe not so sure what to do next in your teacher professional development. Okay, so those are our aims. And I want this to be a journey. I want us to travel along many paths. And so the format of this morning's session, or today's session, I should say, is based on this book that I read when I was 10 years old. It's called The Forest of Doom. And it's a kind of book that's called a Choose Your Own Adventure book. Now, do you know what Choose Your Own Adventure books are? If you've read one before, please let me know in the chat box. Okay? But for those of you who aren't sure what it is, let me explain. So most books, you start at the beginning on page 1 and you kind of read through in order. But that's not how a choose your own adventure book works. Okay, what happens is a choose your own adventure book has lots of passages and they all have numbers. And so you read a little bit of the adventure and then maybe you have a problem or a decision to make and it gives you 3 options. Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Or how about trying this? And you have to choose which one you want. And then it tells you which passage to go to. So you're going back and forth through the book. Have you ever read a book like that? So instead of going from the beginning and then going through to the end, you kind of choose your own path. And so you can read it many times and travel along different pathways. Now I'm going to read the kind of spiel underneath the Forest of Doom. It says this: an original fantasy adventure in which you are the hero. Well, I want you to be the hero of this session, okay, of this webinar. So you will be the hero. You will choose your own PD adventure. It also says, complete with combat system, monster encounters, and score sheet. Well, I'm afraid that today's session doesn't have a combat system. And there is no score sheet. There are no monster encounters either, so I don't worry about that. But we do have a score sheet. And so I would like you, I just kind of remind you now, right, if you're still grabbing a coffee, also grab some paper and a pen. So you will need some paper, a notebook, or a nice bit of A4, and a pen or pencil, because today I do want to kind of pause sometimes in this session and give you the chance to, well, we're going to do a drawing. I'm also at the end going to ask you to draw a score sheet, right? So you'll have to draw a simple table. So please make sure that you have a pen and paper handy for the rest of the session. Okay. I want you to think of me as your guide in this session, all right? If you look at the image, there's an adventurer moving through a dungeon, and there's a guide. And this guide has a name, actually. He's called Tragar. But I'm your guide in this session, and I'm Mark. And I will help you to find out where to go. For on your quest, I shall be with you, and yet not with you. For there are places in the forests, swamps, and dungeons where even I may not safely go. There is no single correct route through the realm of professional development, but the right path can be found using logic and guile. So let me guide you, but you are the one who has to make the choices. All right, I hope you are ready for our adventure. Hello, everyone. So 3 parts to this session. We have the pre-quest, and here what we're going to just do is quickly check what professional development is. So what do we mean when we say teacher professional development? All right. And then the quest begins. What I'm going to do is help you to find your purpose in doing professional development. Maybe you already know it, or maybe, adventurer, I can guide you to a true purpose for you to follow. And then as the quest continues, what we're going to do is move on to looking at different professional development activities that we can do, and you're going to select them and evaluate them. All right, and that's where we're going to use a scoring system as a scoring rubric. I'm going to introduce it to you, give you an example. Then you'll have maybe 5 or 10 minutes where I'm hopefully not going to talk. You're going to rate and score different professional development ideas, and it will help you to find out the one which is probably best for you to do next, right? So really help you to focus. Okay, so let's I'm just going to scroll down to see I'm caught up with the chat box, so I'm getting the latest comments. Oh, there's already a lot. I need to scroll down. Okay, I'll keep scrolling down. It's very difficult for me to get to the bottom. Oh, here we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay, wow. Okay, so what is your concept of professional development? OPD adventurer. All right, today I'm going to call you the adventurer, every one of you. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a quick activity. Oh, quiet, everyone. The dragon is sleeping. We do not want to wake this dragon from its slumber. So let's do a quiet activity. I want you to draw something. You'll need some paper and a pen or pencil. I want you to first relax, maybe close your eyes. Breathe in. Ooh, a little bit of a smell of dragon there, but breathe in and ignore that smell of dragon and let an idea, an image, a concept of professional development come into your mind. What can you draw that represents professional development in teaching? So I'm going to give you 2 minutes now, and we're going to have some music in the background. And you can draw a shape that you think represents teacher professional development for you, right? It's what you feel. It could be a process, it could be a symbol, it could be anything, right? I'm going to give you 2 minutes. We're going to play some music and just draw a picture. And you don't have to type anything in the chat box yet. This is your time. Okay, so Jen, if we can have that music, please. Spooky Halloween-ish music. I like it. This music at 4:09 a.m. Alma, I sympathize. I'm not good for training at the gym. Okay, Jen, I think that's enough before we all get spooked out. Thank you. So that was nice and quick. And that music. Okay, it scared me much more this morning than it did in rehearsal. That's for sure. And I love that someone's having that at 4:09 a.m. wherever you are. Okay, so what I'd like to do, and some of you have started this, is to describe your drawing in the chat window. So what did you draw, and how do you feel it represents professional development? Okay. Yeah, so hopefully it didn't draw ghosts. Someone's cat was scared. All right, so we have a ladder. Okay, this idea of moving upwards. Game of Thrones. All right. Process of growing, a rising arrow, scary face in the dragon, a heart. That's interesting, a heart. And you can start to describe, why does a heart represent professional development for you? A pyramid, that's interesting. A brain lifting a weight to train. Yeah, I like those brain-based learning kind of images you get. A cycle of a plant, like a life cycle. That's interesting, the idea of a cycle, because it never really, it grows and then it falls back again and then something new grows. A long and winding road, says Haruko. My singing there, marginally more scary than that Halloween music, wouldn't you say? A keyboard. I like keyboard. I'd like to know more about how a keyboard represents professional development. Is it the idea that there's lots of different things you can do? Like you got one keyboard, but there are so many tunes you can play and in so many styles. Okay, let me just check that we're all, I have to sort of scroll down in the chat. Okay, good. Right. Okay, so a learning pyramid, Metap's laughing. Mary JD, a binder. Olena H, a flower with petals for the aims. Hannah says a ladder. Hamide says steps going upwards. Okay, lots. A giant's mouth, says Eva. That's very interesting. I'd like to find out more. Okay, so let's move a compass from Aline or Aline, not sure how to pronounce that. A rainbow, says Judith. I tell you what's really interesting here is how much variation there is in your responses. Isn't that interesting? So much variation. It's not, you might expect everyone to say a ladder, a journey, steps, but no. Okay, so let's we've all got our own idea of what we want professional development to be. Okay, and so what I'm looking at it as is a journey, and I'm your guide. So with that said, let the quest begin. What reward do you seek, PD Adventurer? What is it that you really want from participating in professional development? Okay, still looking at your answers. It's fascinating. Elisette or Elisetta had an image of an eagle flying, representing honesty, truth, courage, power, and freedom, because you need these things to develop. That's wonderful. Susanna, improving yourself. Adrienne mentions determination and doing the best that one can. Well, okay, an arrow I like. I'm now imagining an arrow flying through this forest. So let's now focus on the purpose for doing professional development. For you have come to a fork in the road. And I will help you to choose your path ahead. Now, everyone, there are two paths you can follow. You must choose one. I'm going to explain them to you and then ask you to make your choice. Each path represents a different way of finding your purpose for professional development. So let me first explain the path of experience. If you choose the path of experience, what will happen is you will do guided reflection on your current teaching situation and your past teaching situation. And you will reflect on things like, it could be a strength that you think you have. It could be something, an aspect of your teaching you feel insecure about. It could be something that just interests you in what you're doing now or what you've done before. So it's all about reflecting. And from your reflection, you find something that you want to focus on and develop in your teaching. Okay, so if you're interested in reflecting in your current and your past teaching, and using that as a way of finding how to, where you want to get to in your professional development, choose the path of experience, a reflective path. Hold on, and many of you are choosing a path of experience. I'm now going to tell you about the path of topics. So don't walk down the path yet. Okay, let me explain the path of topics first. So your other choice is the path of topics. It's a straightforward choice, I would say. And what happens in that is you will see many different areas of ELT, and within those areas, many different possible topics. And you might see one and think, oh, that's really interesting and useful for me. That's what I want to develop next in my teaching. Okay, so you can choose. And can you type in the chat box? Do you choose the path of experience or do you choose the path of topics? Please let me know. And let's see what path you take. So a lot of you have taken experience. Honestly, probably because that's the first one that it was at the top of the list and I talked about it first. But and now some were getting some topics, the path of topics in. All right. And of course, later you can rewatch this presentation and you can try a different path. All right. I am going to show you will see how both paths work, but I want you to kind of follow one for when you're kind of writing down your PD purpose. Okay, good. So we got a lot of experience, but we also have topics. Natalia, not just topics, but topics! ! Excited about that one. All right. So let me now show you. What I'm going to do is first, I'm going to talk about the path of experience, and I'm going to give a task to people who chose the path of experience, the teachers out there. And I'm going to give you 3 or 4 minutes just to do that task where you'll be sitting and reflecting about something. All right. And while you're doing that task, I will be talking to the path of topics teachers and just telling them what to do. All right. So let's start with the path of experience and if you chose the path of topics, I'll come to you in 2 minutes or so. Okay. So let's look at the path of experience. Okay. So let's just focus on the right side of the slide, which is the green background, because this is the task. And what I advise you to do, path of experience people, is take a screenshot or a picture, take a photo of this slide, because soon I'm going to show a different slide to the path of topics people. And if you take a picture, it can remind you of what to do. All right. Because I'm going to stop showing this slide. So take a photo. And so looking at the right, you have chosen the path of experience, PD adventurer. So if that's you, I want you to do the following. 1, read the 3 reflection questions. They guide you to identify a PD goal. So this is guided reflection questions. And you're going to choose just 1 question and just take time to think about that before sharing your answer. So what I'm going to do is just to focus your attention. I'm now going to read the 3 guiding questions. All right. So let's just take our time and read through them, and you can choose one at the end. So question A, what are your strengths as a teacher? Okay. So you could choose to answer, if you're on the path of experience, you could choose to answer just this question. That's fine. And so what happens is you could find out a strength through reflection, and then think about how to use that strength in another area of your practice. For example, maybe you think you're really strong at reading stories aloud to children. And you can reflect on why you're good at that, why it's a strength, and then think, well, can I take that strength and apply it to some other part of my practice? For example, maybe I also teach teenagers, and I can read stories to them, and I can introduce grammar points through story reading. Or maybe I can take my skills of reading stories to children in a classroom and then transfer that to reading stories in webinars or in online meetings, that kind of thing. So identify your strengths. Okay, B, what area of your teaching practice do you feel insecure about? So you could focus on this. So for example, I'm a bit insecure about, it could be writing. Oh, here's one. Sometimes I feel like I myself have not learned a language for such a long time, maybe 15 years. It's been 15 years since I learned another language. Sometimes I feel like maybe I've lost the ability to empathize with my students and understand the frustrations of learning another language, right? Something like that. But so maybe there's something you feel like you're just not confident teaching, exam prep or writing or grammar, whatever it is for you. And then C, what area of your teaching are you bored or just stuck in a rut with? So maybe you've been teaching grammar, for 20 years and you're just a bit bored and you need freshening up. So if you choose to answer that question, what you will do in your PD is find a fresh approach to teaching grammar or whatever it is. Okay, so go ahead. I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. And then what you can do in the chat box, and do take time, take 2 minutes. Don't just type an answer. So again, choose just one question, either A or B or C, and then share your answer in the chat box. Write the letter. So if you've chosen B, write B. Oh, I feel insecure about teaching writing skills or whatever it is. And that will do for now, okay? Okay, so the point here is you're going to leave this activity, this task, with having identified a purpose for doing professional development. And it could be a strength that you're going to build on, something you feel insecure about to address, or something you're just bored with. And that we're going to take through into the next task, right? And work on what to do about that. Okay, so while the people who chose the path of experience are doing that, I'm now going to turn my attention to the adventurers who have chosen the path of topics. So what we have is 3 topic areas that you see on the left. Myself as a teacher, aspects of language teaching, and context of teaching. Now, there are many more, which I'll point you towards at the end of this session. But for the sake of our session here, I've chosen these 3 areas or topic areas. And within each area, I've got 3 different topics. So let's read through them. Myself as a teacher. So maybe I want to focus on well-being, or it could be motivation, or maybe leadership skills, right? Maybe I want to become a manager, or I am a manager, and I want to develop my leadership skills, and that will be my focus, right? My PD purpose. Next, aspects of language teaching, task-based teaching, assessment and testing, and feedback. Ooh, yeah, that's one I'm interested in, actually, is I'm becoming increasingly interested in how teachers give feedback to students, particularly in the classroom. And I'm just interested in that. I would like to know more. So I'm going to note that down. And then the context of teaching, curriculum, maybe learning more about how curricula are put together, world Englishes, and communication with parents is something that many teachers can work on, because it can be a stress point, right? And if you're good at communicating with parents, it can save you a lot of time and hassle. So just choose one topic area and then choose. So you look at an area that you think is interesting or relevant to you, then choose one. Maybe if you want to, you can choose 2, fine, of the specific topics and write them down. And so in the chat box, if you've chosen the path of topics, just let us know what topic you chose. For example, I chose to develop my leadership skills. Da, 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 da. All right. So while you guys do that, I'm going to read through some of the comments. So take a picture of this path of topics, people, because I'm going to go back to the previous slide and just go through some of what the path of experience teachers have said. Okay, well, don't worry, we'll come back to it. So let's have a look. I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to go up to Marcos Gabriel, so who chose the path of experience, teaching grammar. For A, strength is teaching grammar. Interesting. And C, good, you chose 2, which you can do. Board meetings and planning. You're bored with board meetings and planning. Understandable. But there are real ways to freshen up board meetings. Wayne has chosen insecure about teaching grammar. So has Tam. Wow, we have several teachers who are a bit insecure about teaching grammar. That's interesting. Ahmed says administrative processes, but I'm not sure if that's a strength of yours or something you're insecure with or just bored with. Adrienne says, when I lose my students, your students are bored because you're using the same methods and strategies. Okay, so you're a bit insecure about that. Irma says teaching pronunciation, but Irma, is that a strength or something you're insecure about? Okay, so all you have to do is choose one. If you want to, you can choose 2. That's fine. By the way, guys, there's nothing to stop you in this session of choosing one thing from a path of experience and then one thing from a path of topics. It's all good for this session. All right, so Elizabeth, I feel bored with using course books, right? I want more digital elements in my teaching. Aha, interesting. So that's something you're bored with. And straight away, you've identified a purpose or a focus for your next steps in professional development, which is using digital tools and making sure you use them, not just for the sake of using them, but because they help you teach and help learners learn better. Right. Okay, good. And so some of you have now just moving on to topics. We've got assessment and testing. Elisette has chosen. Anissa, you've chosen something not on the list. Yeah, we're walking down some paths here. There are many, many more paths available, right? And so I understand that. So if you choose something else, that's a fine. Let's see. Oh, Samira has talking about the path of experiences. Says a strength of Samira's is as a teacher, I think it's important to create a good rapport with the students. Yeah, that relationship, that warm relationship. They feel comfortable with you. That has helped me a lot to gain their attention and make teaching more fruitful. Okay, so it sounds like that's a strength. And if you're good at building rapport with students, how can you transfer that into another area of your teaching? Maybe teacher training, and building rapport between a team of teachers in your school. See, that's a way of developing your career based on taking an existing strength and applying it in a slightly different area. So you see the logic. So a lot of you will have so much to share, right, of your strengths. Right, okay. So I'm going to scroll back down to the bottom, which seems to take me ages. I don't know why today. And Alejandro has chosen phonetics and common use expressions. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so that's good. So we've talked about the path of experience and the path of topics. I'll just tell you about another possible path which you can walk in a future quest. It's called the path of competencies. It takes a bit too much time to explain because it's more conceptual. So, and I'm not sure it'll work well in a webinar, but just to let you know about it, because you need to read about this a bit more, I think. It's called the path of competencies. And so what this is it's a framework from Professor Donald Freeman. And it's reflecting on 4 interrelated aspects or competencies that teachers have, right? Awareness, attitudes, knowledge, and skills. And he says that awareness and attitudes are really the deepest 2. So it's really, really super reflective. You think about your competencies, and you kind of choose which of these competencies you want to focus on and develop. So it could be attitudes, it could be your skills. All right, now if you want to find out more about the path of competencies, click the link at the end of this session and it'll take you to download a position paper where you can read more about that. All right. One thing I would say about the path of competencies, which I find useful, is this. Do you ever feel a pressure to continually improve yourself, be more efficient, learn how to use that technology, keep updating yourself? Do you know, for some people, professional development can feel very stressful. And if you feel like just tired, beaten down, it can be wearing. You can burn out if you're always trying to improve yourself. So the path of competencies is a great one for those who want to stop thinking about PD in terms of professional advancement or improvement, and instead think of it as self-discovery, right? So if you want to give self-improvement a break, try this one for self-discovery. Okay, but again, you can read about that more in a link I'll send you. So we're at the halfway mark of this session, which is great. And you can take a rest. We're in a beautiful glade in the forest. We've walked through the terrifying forest and its dangers, and we have survived. And we have written down maybe 1 or 2, one will do, or 2 or 3 things we want to focus on, purposes for our PD, which could be to do with your experience, like a strength, or something you're not so confident about, you're insecure about, or it could be a topic, right? You've got that. As long as you've got that, we can rest. Those friendly squirrels can bring us the most delicious fruits and nuts. And now, traveler, let us continue our journey. And let us consider what PD activities we can do to take our purpose and find a way of putting it into practice, find a way of developing it. Okay, so the path is getting more dangerous again. Okay, so in this activity, what we're going to do is choose activities, and hopefully they'll align with your purpose. So you've got a purpose, find activities which seem like a good way of developing and building on that. And at the end of this session, you will select your next professional development activity. Okay, so hold on, what's happening? A portal is opening. Behold, it is the portal of professional development activities. What lies through this magical door? Aha! More doors. More doors. That's a Tolkien fan's reference there. Okay, so more doors. And what doors do we have? Join me. Come through the portal. It's the professional development portal. Join me in our magical world. Right. So what we have are, we have 4 doors, right? Let me just talk you through them. Oh, the portal is being a bit wonky. There it goes. Yeah. So which PD activities door will you open? So we have 4 doors for you to choose. You have the door of activities in your institution, which is probably a school, but it might not be. You might work in a school, a university. It could be a private language school. It could be a state elementary school, secondary school, right? Or some other institution. Maybe you teach English in a business. The second door is the door of activities that you can do online, right? PD activities you can do online. The third door is the door of activities within an association. By association, I'm thinking of an ELT association like IATEFL or TELTC in Taiwan, JOLT in Japan. You know that you have these TEFL or ELT organizations and they do conferences. So there are activities you can do within those if you're a member or even if you're not. And then the door number 4 is the door of activities in other contexts. A mysterious door. What lies behind it? Okay. You know what I'm going to do here? I was planning to kind of have all of the doors open, but it's too technically difficult. So what I'm going to do is be really nice. Instead of having you choose one door now and forever be stuck behind that door, maybe, I'm going to open each door a little bit and give you a glimpse of what lies behind. You can have a look and think, oh yeah, that door's, oh no, I don't want that door. Let's try another one. Yeah. Oh, that looks good. I'll go through this door. Okay, so let's have a look behind the doors. I know I've laid it out as a kind of branching tree diagram. You'll see. I love how some of you are choosing doors without really knowing what's behind them. You're much braver than I am. So, PD activities. To be honest, right, each door is really a category of professional development activities that you can do. All right. So the first door was activities you can do in a school or institution. Now, of course, there are many activities you can do, but these are, I've got 12 to share with you on this slide, and the other 2 doors I'll do on the next slide, okay? Right, but let's kind of work through them. So I want you to, so I'm going to read through, and I want you to choose 1 or 2 of the activities. For example, peer observations is an activity, or writing a blog is an activity, and try to choose an activity that makes sense for the purpose that you chose before now. So if I chose, okay, feedback. You remember I said I was interested in finding out how to give feedback better in the classroom? Well, actually, the PD activity of doing peer observations would really align well with that. My purpose is to improve my feedback to students. So a good activity would be observe some teachers in my school, but not just observe them any old how, but focus on how they give feedback and see what I can learn from that. That's called aligning your purpose with your activity. So try to do that. So first, we have activities in a school or institution. Peer observations, when you go into another teacher's classroom, or it could be an online classroom and just observe. But it should be focused, right? You should have a purpose which guides what you're doing, what exactly you're observing, like feedback, or like some of you mentioned teaching grammar as an insecurity. Watch, if there are teachers who are great at teaching grammar, go and observe them. Mentoring. You could mentor another teacher, and that means you're more experienced and you mentor them than you, and you kind of meet with them and talk with them about how they're progressing. Or you could be the mentee. Find someone who's much more knowledgeable in the area you want to develop in, your purpose, and have them as a mentor, and you can meet every week or so and discuss how it's going. You can also organize teacher meetings. Next, activities you can do online. Let's look behind that door. You can write a blog. You can create a website of resources for other teachers. You can listen to an ELT podcast, okay? And there's actually a new one that Oxford University Press have started just last month, I believe. Okay, so what about the other activities? So activities within an ELT or TEFL association. You can present at a conference. You can organize your own an event. Because like, for example, IATEFL, I attended an IATEFL conference in the UK earlier this year. And there are all sorts of little regional events that you could take a part in organizing. You could take on a committee role, right? You know, each country will have its own organizations and TEFL conferences, that kind of thing. And finally, activities in other contexts. So you could work on getting more qualifications. You could write book reviews for journals. That's interesting. You could learn a new language. Yeah. See, that might be good for me, because I said I haven't learned a new language for ages. And so maybe I've lost the ability to relate to the frustrations my students have with learning English. So learning a new language, yeah, that aligns with that purpose. Okay, someone's asked, Eduardo, thank you for saying this session is interesting and meaningful. I'm not going to send you the slides, but you will get the slides sent to you. And don't worry, Josh can mention how that works. I think he mentioned it in the intro, but you will get the slides like magic. They'll also, or is it that you'll get a recording? Either way, you will be able to definitely see this session again. All right. Okay. So don't worry, you don't have to remember everything now. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. First, I need a sip of water. So so you need to have established your purpose and written that down, and you need to have chosen 1 or 2 or 3, if you like, activities from this list. And maybe you can add in others that you can think of. And what we're going to do is score these activities, right? And then see which one is best for you to do next. Okay, so it would actually be good if you could have 2 or 3 activities here. All right, like I'm going to choose peer observations. I'm going to choose learning a new language. Yeah. Okay. Have you got a couple? You got 2 or 3 activities from there? Okay, that's what you need. So if that's the case, we can move on. So now it's time for you to find the PD activity that fits you best. I'm going to guide you through a scoring system. And I want you to score your chosen activities from 5, the highest score, to 1, the lowest score. You can't start yet because you don't know how the scoring system works. We're going to give points based on how well the activity aligns with your chosen PD purpose, the resources you have, autonomy, which is how free you are to choose what you want to do in your PD, and enjoyment, how much you just want to do and are willing to engage with the activity. So before you do anything, you need to draw your table. Okay, so can you quickly take a bit of paper and just draw this table? It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just 6 columns, and just write down the headers in bold white. So just write down selected PD activity, purpose, resources, autonomy, enjoyment, total score. All right. So I'm going to give you a minute just to draw your table. It can be, you're not going to show it to anyone, right? It can look horrible. It doesn't matter, as long as you've got some kind of table where you can write down your scores. Okay, so let me know when you're ready with that. I'm going to give you about, let's see, I'm going to give you another 30 seconds. And so some of you are already telling me what you've chosen. So Enadina says peer observation. Paula C, thank you. You say you choose online and listening to podcast now. All right. Okay, great. Don't listen to it now, though. Please keep listening to me, and you can do the podcast after L Talk. Vo says, can we combine all these activities? Well, sure, you can. It would actually be good if you choose 2 or 3 activities so you can compare them and see which one scores the most. It depends what you mean by combine. I mean, I wouldn't do a podcast while observing another teacher in peer observation, if that's what you mean. But I think you mean you can choose more than one. Marcello says, learning more languages. Yeah, that's cool, isn't it? Because it helps your teaching of language, but you also get to speak another language, right? Or understand another language. So you're ready. Okay, so don't write any scores yet, because I have to explain how this works. So first, let me talk about the criteria. Okay, and I'm just going to slide over. Okay, I want to, I've got my criteria noted down in front of me so I can make sure that I explain them fully. So the first one is purpose. So you're going to, how well does this suit my current needs and purposes? So you're going to write an activity on the left, right, in the selected PD activity column. Purpose means, what do you wish to achieve by undertaking this professional development? How does it relate to your personal and professional goals? What would you like to have learned or be able to do after having taken part in this professional development? So 5, if it's very good, it fits your current needs and purpose very well, perfectly, score it 5, and then 1 if it's a little. Okay, resources, what does that mean? So what is available to you in terms of resources to support your professional development? Resources means how much you can manage in terms of money, right? How much does it cost? Can you afford it? How much time do you need to give? And can you afford that? Do you need someone to look after your children? So there's childcare costs as well, an organization. Do you require internet access to do this activity? Do you need library membership if it's about reading magazines or books? The third criterion is autonomy. Are you able to freely choose your professional development, or might there be restrictions or expectations that limit your ability to select a specific option? So you might be a teacher and everyone knows that maybe you're head of department and maybe you're head of educational technology, but you want to learn another language. But other teachers will think, no, that's not what your job is supposed to do. You should go and learn about educational technology. So in a way, you might have a restriction on the kind of things that you can choose to do. And finally, in enjoyment, how much are you going to enjoy this kind of professional development so that you're willing to actually do it and it doesn't feel like, oh, something that you have to do. It's, yes, something that you want to do. So for my example here, let's see. So let's look at my examples. Learning a new language. Let's just do that. Purpose. How well does this suit my current needs and purpose? Actually, you know what? Pretty well, because I want to understand how my students feel learning English. And so I think learning a new language, I'm going to give that 4 out of 5, a pretty high score, because that makes sense. It aligns with that purpose, right? This activity aligns with the purpose well. Next, resources. How do I have enough money and time to do this? You know what? I'm going to score this only 2 because I've got to work. I've got to look after my daughter. And if I learn a language, maybe I have to commit to going to lessons at a certain time. So I'm not sure. I'm going to give that 2 because I'm a bit worried I don't have enough time, actually. Okay, 3. The third. Okay, next is autonomy. How free am I to choose what I want to do in terms of professional development? You know what? I do have a lot of autonomy. Whoops, the slide's kind of jumped ahead. Yeah, I can talk to my manager at work. I'm sure she'd give me, she'd say, yeah, go ahead, do this PD. You can take maybe an hour or 2 a week of work time, maybe something like that. So I think I'm going to give myself 4 out of 5 for autonomy. I don't really have to get permission from anyone, I don't think. And then enjoyment. Oh, I would love to learn another language because apart from helping me as an English teacher to empathize with my students, I get to learn another language, man. That's great. So it's like a double bonus. So that's a bit selfish of me, but hey, I'll enjoy it. So total score, 4 + 2 + 4 + 5. I'm going to say that's a score of 15 out of 20. Not bad, right, for my PD activity of learning a new language. Now, I'm going to do the same for peer observations and creating a website of resources. Now, I would like you to do the same. So we're going to give you a good 5 minutes here, maybe more if you want it. We're going to play you some music. It won't be as spooky as the music before. And so I want you to score 1 or 2 or 3 of your activities according to these criteria, okay? And I'll give you like 5, maybe 6 or 7 minutes. Let me know in the chat box when you're ready, when you think you've finished, and then I'll know if I need to give you more time or not. Okay, so I think hopefully you know what to do. Please score your chosen activities. Go ahead. Jen, let's have that. Yeah, some upbeat music. Right, great. Stop dancing. I Someone's asked to see the activities again. Yeah. Yeah, slowly going down. Here are the activities. I'll show you these for a minute and I'll show you them. Yeah, if you've done one, choose another activity and score that one. We have time. We have another 4 or 5 minutes. You are writing scores like 16, that's great. But, you know, yeah, LSDs or LSDs essay, mental. So at least we know what the activity is today, right? If you just put a number, I'm not really sure. No, yeah, that's right. Writing a job 17. Keep going. I'll show you the next activity. If you want to come and do another activity, please choose a new one. Score that. On this background, you're doing your activity. Again, I don't know if we can take that quote from Taipei. I'm going to do a screenshot of it. I remember it. Another couple of minutes to score some more activities. Let's go back and show you these ones. Maybe we can turn the music down a little bit there. Volume, someone says a little bit more than that, maybe a bit higher. Okay, the music has ended. Let's call that Let's call that a day. Okay, let's see. All right. So let me just. Okay, good. So well done, everyone. So now you've already started doing it. So you've chosen some activities. We've scored some activities, and lots of you already started to. Let me just slowly move through this. All right, my mouse is it's being a little bit unresponsive today. So now let's share your results with your fellow adventurers. So you've already done this, but if you want to, you can do it a bit more. So what PD activities did you choose? Which PD activity got the highest or lowest score? What score did it get? What new ideas do you have for your PD activities? So I tell you what, yeah, keep sharing and particularly focus on that last question. Did any of you get some new ideas which you really think make sense that you want to do next in your PD activity? So let's have a look at some of your answers. So Yumi says, where was Yumi? Oh, let's do Carolina Z or Carolina Z. Creating a blog got a score of 14 out of 20. Learn another language got 17. So that's good. Now, I don't know what your purpose is, so you have to think carefully of how well they align to your purpose. Okay, mentoring, says Pat, got 15. Virginia P, great score of 18 for working on additional qualifications. And then Sylvia G, listening to an ELT podcast, 19 out of 20. You can do that on commutes, can't you? I love listening to podcasts. There's a new one from OUP. I don't know if we can, if Jen or Josh is able to give more details on the OUP ELT podcast, which is brand new. But, maybe that's something we can put in the chat box. Mentoring for Lahib got 15. Not bad. Listening to an ELT podcast got a score of 20 from Christina S. Wow. 19 for creating a website of resources from Mehtap. Podcast getting 18 from Mishko. That's a great score. Writing book reviews for journals, 18 for Rocchio. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Another Steve D gets 15 out of 20 for podcasts. And I'm going to scroll down to the bottom because I see I've got, I should kind of start to wrap things up. So let us see. Now we've talked about these. Oh, by the way, there is something I wanted to share, which is a quote from Agueda B. She said, I picked 5 activities and I got 16 out of 20 points for listening to an ELT podcast and 17 out of 20 for writing book review journals. And that's the whole idea of this session, is to give you a system for scoring and deciding what's a great PD activity for you to do next. Okay, so I hope that helps. Now it's Halloween and purpose, resources, autonomy, enjoyment. We have P, an R, an A, and an E. Time for some Halloween magic. Round about the letters go. In the guiding magic throw. PD bubbles toil and show. To grow, you reap what you sow. Oh, some Halloween magic there for everyone. Okay, and I hope that this you have found some your path forward. Let's just recap what we've done. We thought about what PD means to us, and you drew those images. Really fascinating to think more about what those represent to you. The quest begins. You identified your PD purpose. You could choose the path of experience to do that, or you could choose a different path, the path of topics. And remember, there's a third path for you to find out about. It's just different ways of finding your purpose, right? The quest continues. So you were introduced to a system for scoring, selecting PD activities that align with that purpose and then scoring them to see what's the best fit for you. But the quest for PD never ends, teachers. It goes round in a circle. It never ends. Someone said earlier in their drawing, it was like a cycle of life, like a plant or animal cycle or plant cycle, wasn't it? The quest never ends. Now, our aims, to recap. we wanted to broaden everyone's notion of what these PD opportunities can be. There are so many different activities that maybe you hadn't considered before, and so many different pathways. But, you know, there are so many more pathways I couldn't show you, so many more activities, and we'll show you where you can read more on the next slide, I believe. We also wanted to provide some guidance for those of you who just aren't sure how to develop next, and so I hope that's helped. There are so many pathways through the realm of professional development. It is boundless. But teachers, I hope I have shown that you can find your way through this pathway and discover new realms of PD. Now, those were my two aims in this session, and those are also the two key aims of our expert paper, position paper on self-directed professional development. So if you'd like to read more about this, have more frameworks at the back in the appendix, read about all 7 steps in that cycle. You can download now, and you can get that. I think you need to be in the Oxford Teachers Club, right? But it's totally free, and you can click on download now to read more about our 7-step framework. Okay, now I'm going to end, before I answer a few questions, with a quote from the constructionist educator Seymour Papert. Okay, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he was talking about teaching children, and he said, the most important learning skills that I see children getting from games are those that support the empowering sense of taking charge of their own learning. Now, everyone, I understand that we're not children and we're not students. We are adults. We're doing CPD, continuous professional development, teacher professional development. But here's why I chose this quote and why I think it's relevant to us today. I wanted to make this workshop to feel a little bit like a game or some kind of adventure, all right, journeying through this realm. And I wanted to do that to get across the sense that taking charge of our own professional development, yes, it's serious and important, but we can still do it in a playful way and be filled with childlike wonder still. So may you all find your right path using logic and guile. I wish you all well. Now, let us look. So, Josh, any questions? Let's see. So there's a couple of minutes maybe, or just to answer any questions. Has anything popped up?
Yes. So if you check the Q&A tab,
yeah,
and if you can see a priority tab.
Yeah, I'm looking at those now.
Okay. You can choose from those.
Okay. So, well, let's answer the easy one first, which is Noha says, what is the REAP abbreviation? The REAP, it's just an abbreviation I made up. So the REAP abbreviation is the 4 criteria that we used to evaluate professional development activities. Whoops, and I'm going to go back to them and show you. So I took purpose, resources, autonomy, enjoyment. I mixed them around, and I came up with REAP because REAP is a sort of Halloween word. Have you heard of the Grim Reaper? So just to be sure that that's me just having fun with PRANE. I don't think if you search for REAP online, you're going to find this. But for you, just remember, we can evaluate the suitability of our PD activities in terms of do they align with our purpose? Do we have the resources like time and money to do them? Do we have the autonomy or freedom to make our own choices? Will we enjoy them? So that's all that means. And then Manuel, I'll read this. Manuel and Sadis, how can we design communicative activities for growing professionally in all language skills? Yeah. So you know, Josh, the other questions are not really about professional development, but more about doing communicative activities in class. But what I will say, right, because we've got questions generally about, that's about teaching and about designing. I would say this. Maybe, Josh, if you can put that back on the slide again, and this is the last thing I'll say because it's time's up. Okay, I'm not going to give you an answer now. The job of this session is to say how you can go about developing yourself. So if that's your purpose, what activities can you do? Maybe the obvious one is observe another teacher who does use communicative activities and is successful from this, and you could learn. You could also find a mentor who is strong in this area of designing communicative activities, and you can learn from them. There are also blogs you can find. The ELT, we have a global blog which will have blog posts about communicative activities in the classroom. So thank you for that. And Josh, I think time is up. I hope everyone had got something useful from this, and I will say thank you very much. Thank you very much, Josh. Thank you very much, teachers. I wish you all the best on your PD paths. Take care, everyone. Bye.